Now, students, I'm going to do a quick recap on the work you've been doing with Tom this morning. So I'll do this in 2 or 3 parts. Okay, so you should have your project open. Okay, so here's our TECH1109 practice project, and you've got it saved into that file that we created earlier this morning. So first thing, grids. Uh, so I'll draw a grid and I'll copy a grid. That's the first thing that I'm going to do here. So in the architecture tab, come over to grid. Okay, and I am just going to pick a spot arbitrary. So I'm going to left click, right? Okay, it's like pinning a piece of elastic, right? And we're going to drag it up. And then when you see that kind of line there, when it lines up with the other existing grid that's there, you can left click again in order to position it. All right, so we got those ones and that one there. Another way to do it is to pick that grid, hit the copy button, pick a position from where you want to start the copy, which would be maybe something like that, and then just drag it down, left click again, and we got our grids there. Now, so we're going to make these the A and B, and we're going to make this the 1 and the 2. So this is called a tag. If you click into that tag, once to select it, once to activate it, you can edit the number. So there's 1 and 2, and the same over here. Click once to select it, click left click again to activate it, and this will be a capital B. Right. Now, so I got my 2 grids here. So we want to make the grids 7 meters by 3.5. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this one here. Now, see the way it activates light blue lines here. These light blue lines are temporary dimensions, but they're handy because, look, I can left click into that and I can go, well, 3500. Okay, and then I do the same here with this one. Click it. It's going to activate there. Oh, it's actually missed that one there. So I'll come this side. All right, and I'm going to make this one 700. Right. Now, just for me, I'm going to pick this one and this one. Okay, so see the way I selected 2. Selected 1, if you hold down the shift key, you can see the little plus button. That means you can add to the selection like so. And when you do move or copy, you always select the items first. So here's my move tool, and I'm going to move that up into that position there. Now, I could tidy these up a little bit by selecting one of the grids and pushing it up here like so. And I'm going to do the same with this one. Okay, those little circles are called grips. And if I grab the grip, it'll move them over like so, something like that. All right. Now, so that's our basics of our grid. Let's put some dimensions on those. So up in the annotate tab up here, using the aligned, that's the main one that we use here, aligned. Okay, so I'm going to left click on that, and then I'm going to position the dimension by left clicking on the inside here. Left click, position, like so. Okay. Now, before I go any further, I want to check my levels here. So I go into my elevations over on the project browser, east elevation. And I'm going to, if you remember, we had this little problem with finding where the actual building was in relation to our elevation. So how do we solve that? Well, we'll solve that by in our plans going into our site plan here. Okay, and you can see we've got our 4 dimensions now. So what I'm going to do, look, I'm going to click on the solid part here, and there is the start of vision, which I'm going to pull up here, and there's the end of field of view, if you like. So do that for each elevation. Move it into position, because we're looking from here to here. Okay, there's another one. I'm going to move that one to there, and then this one, I'm going to move it to here. All right, now that has a direct effect on the elevations. Now you can see that I've got my grids A and B, and these are my levels. So what I want to do again is select one, grab the grip, and I'm going to drag all of these through here. And we're going to do that again. We're going to drag all of those ones back. So, all right, and you always want your grid lines to intersect with your levels here. So let's check the north and see how we're doing. Okay, so we're just going to tidy things up here a little bit. I'm going to drag these ones all the way through here. Sometimes they'll come together, sometimes they'll come individually. Okay, and sometimes you've got to go in a little bit tighter to get that one. That is just a miscellaneous grid. We're just, in fact, delete it. I'll get rid of it. Same there. Now, so if I've got my east and north correct, then my south, right, and west should be somewhat similar there. So it's one of the things we'll always do is get our grids and levels set up before we start modeling any of our building elements as such. Okay, now that's that. So I can go back to my ground floor plan here. Right. I think sometimes what is handy is if I go into my view tab up here, I'm going to close all the inactive. So all the views that were open before are now closed, because what I want to do is I want to bring in my 3D view and I want to tile the views. So I've got two screens open now. Here's the plan screen and here's the 3D. And you can't see anything because there's no building elements there at the moment. So I'm going to go into my wall tab here, like so. I'm going to choose my wall. And I think we were just going to use a standard cavity wall. So that one there. Right. So before we draw any elements, we've got to go into the properties. And in my case, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do finish face exterior. So that's where I'm drawing the line from. It's going from the ground finished floor level up to the finished floor level. And I'm not going to change anything more than that. I'm coming over to, you can see now my ground floor screen is active. My cursor has changed from an arrow to a crosshairs. And I'm going to draw this clockwise. So that little magenta symbol there is called a grip, or it allows us to zero in right on the intersection of those two grid lines. So I'm going to left click once and drag out, left click and drag out, left click and drag out, left click and drag out, and then I'm going to left click and drag out there. Now you can see that got my 3D there now, and this is my wall here. So I know what Tom likes to do is that he likes to align his walls to the grid. So if you want to do something like that, use this tool here. It's in the Modify tab, and it is Align. And what we're going to do is to the grid, we're going to align the brickwork. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do at all. And if you make that kind of mistake, here's your undo button. It's your best friend for the first couple of years that you're doing. Probably is actually locked in place at the moment anyway, is it? Okay, we'll just double check that and see. So align. So I got a 0 in here. I could use my tab to that one, and it's not coming up. Okay, let's try that one more time. Okay, to this align the outside. So tab. Now there it is. There's my little lock put in place. So I'll do that again for you here. And listen to what I say. So I hit the align tab and I go to this grid, align this edge, and I have to tab to get the edge. Then I can lock it. All right. And we'll do that one more time here. Save. To the grid, align the outside. So tab, lock. Right. Now, I'm not a huge fan of locking to the grids, but Tom likes to do it, so that's why I'm doing it. It has its advantages, and I'm going to show you one. Okay, let's lock that in place. So if I decide that, no, I don't want the garage to be 3.5 meters wide, I want it to be 4, I can in here and select that, and then using my arrow keys, you see I can move this up to 4 or back down again. And you notice that it's moving on the 3D section there as well, so everything is connected. Okay, so I can go back here, and I'm just going to undo all of that, and I'll get back to my 3.5. Okay, there we go. Now, so that is the first little section. So we'll just go into our east elevation, and we'll just double check that. Okay, first ground, and there's our wall in position like so. Okay,